Young blood, why you want a family so bad?
Well,
What is it? I don't understand.
Can I talk, please?
You're chasing over.
Can I talk, please?
Okay, I'll let you talk.
I don't know. It's like I'm putting everything before my marriage. Like, ain't I supposed to put myself?
You always put God first in your marriage. Always.
Daddy was a preacher. The whole family thuggin'. 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 Every time I see myself, let it loose. Every time I see the noose, wrap it around my ring. Tear the balls apart so I can look inside. Wait, the wife walks up to this guy when he rides. Attacked by the animals, then they walk in the field to see the cannibals eating no meat. Red or blue, yellow or red, she grabs the flower, say here, take this for an hour, then spread it between my mind, go flow. Out of the way, she start to shape before it's too late, and realize that your mind is about to blow up again, because you say that if you sit on Americans, they might explode through an island in the desert go. Then you drop down, then you see the people jump up, then you start to throw up, because the celebration of gifts is like you throwing rice at your wedding, but your wedding is nothing if the first lady isn't there to say hi, bye. Daddy was a preacher, home was a family thuggin'. Daddy was a preacher, home was a family thuggin'. Daddy was a preacher, home was a family thuggin'. Daddy was a preacher, home was a family thuggin'. Daddy was a preacher, home was a family thuggin'. Daddy was a preacher, home was a family thuggin'. Daddy was a preacher, home was a family thuggin'. Daddy was a preacher, home was a family thuggin'. Now out of control is myself. Out of my mind is the shape of that. The distance of it is like rap. I look at rap and I start to control it. I wrap it up in plastic now. She grabs Elias with his gifts, hey. She wish she had a wish for him to wish for today, but tomorrow's nothing cause she can't see her ring inside of her pocket. She grabs it out of her wallet and sees her daughter walk around. Then comes her son, then comes her other daughter, then comes another one plus two. Now all these kids that she have, can she walk away from them and say me and your daddy couldn't walk out? I'm sorry. Walk between that, but then you shape yourself out. You like you give yourself a form of clay. You take the clay and form it for a gift today, but God tell you to hey, stay with your man and let him understand that it's life. Daddy was a preacher, home was a family thuggin'. Daddy was a preacher, home was a family thuggin'. Daddy was a preacher, home was a family thuggin'. Daddy was a preacher, home was a family thuggin'. Daddy was a preacher, home was a family thuggin'. Daddy was a preacher, home was a family thuggin'. Daddy was a preacher, home was a family thuggin'. Daddy was a preacher, home was a family thuggin'. Here comes mother, give herself a kiss. Here comes brother, give yourself a hug to your sister. Here comes daddy, I walk the other way, but I must turn him around and give him a kiss for the cheek now. Daddy's preaching to me, but I'm trying to teach him. Grabbing the belt, hopefully I don't beat him, but the words of speaking is like the demon finds reasons to come in your house and attack it. Give the cross a bad name, so you see the Holy Spirit of it. Then you grab the wall, hoping for love as you start to fall, but then you see the cloudiness of it. And these people want you to cuff it, but they think that you're cuffing. Now you're stunting because you're really not in love, but you try to be in love for her. Married 10 plus years, you look at fear, then you switch it to the next gear. You reappear in her face, but then she apologizes before it's too late, but then she says bye. Daddy was a preacher, home was a family thuggin'. Daddy was a preacher, home was a family thuggin'. Daddy was a preacher, home was a family thuggin'. Daddy was a preacher, home was a family thuggin'. Daddy was a preacher, home was a family thuggin'. Daddy was a preacher, home was a family thuggin'. Daddy was a preacher, home was a family thuggin'. Daddy was a preacher, home was a family